Wool has to be soft as a cloud or it lives in the drawer. Tim the farmer needs rain clouds or he's no more. Hi, this is your country uncle here, Uncle John, telling you about family farmers and the wisdom of wool. I spent 20 years in the wool industry, but the best year of my life was jackarooing up in Queensland. Oh, we had so much fun. So sit back, relax and watch this video. I hope it gives you some fun. Rightio. Okay, so this question number 7, let's just discuss your neighbours. So most people have neighbours about 4 or 5 metres away from them in the houses in the suburbs, but yours would be 400 or 500 metres, if not further. So how many neighbours do you have? How often do you see them? And how important are they to you and your business?
Right. I would have, off the top of my head, probably about half a dozen neighbours, I would think.
Six,
let's say 6 would be close enough.
Yep.
And my closest one is my cousin, actually, who lives up the road. He's about 2 kilometres away.
Mm-hmm. How often do you see all your... Yeah?
Not all that often. We might, if we drive to town, you might drive past his entrance, and if he's around, you might have a wave. But we are involved in community things around this area together, so we see each other in those sort of in that frame. But no, we don't have.
Yeah. So at the back, how often do you see them?
Very rarely.
Once every twice a year?
Twice a year.
Right.
Twice a year. And that's usually not on the boundary fence. Sometimes, maybe once on the boundary fence a year. The rest of the time would be when you run into them in town.
In town, yeah. Yeah. And how important are your neighbours to you in running your maintaining a healthy, viable business?
Well, they are quite important because obviously you share a common boundary. And if you can have a good neighbour who is more than happy to help to maintain that boundary, it can be quite advantageous to both parties. Whereas I have got one neighbour on one side of my place, which he's an absentee neighbour, and look, we get on quite well. He's a lovely fella, but the fact of the matter is he has no farming experience and has no understanding of all the work that's required just to maintain these fences with all the wildlife that damages them. And because they're there, even when they're there, they really have no knowledge. You've got to basically share the load, do the whole, to carry the whole load, and it can be a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, and for listeners living in suburbia, with a boundary, you need the native animals, wombats, kangaroos, and pigs do put holes in the fence that they that they go through, and then also which transport diseases and also seeds of weeds and all those sort of things. So if you've got a good neighbour and maintain a good boundary, it does reduce the movement of diseases and seed and feral seeds and all those sort of things.
Yeah, no, that's definitely correct. Yeah, no, and just even the diseases on your livestock, be it lice or whatever, the stock are moving from one property to another. They're just carrying all those, and they're just more costs, it's just more expense because you've got to use whatever you've got to use to control these problems. And
lice on sheep is just like head lice that we used to have when we were children. They're just itchy things. But they are detrimental to the health of the animal. Okay, so looking back, do you think you chose the right vacation, the right job?
Yes, I do. I'm just awfully relieved that I was able to get involved in this regen side of the farming, because if I had a regenerative farming principles using this. Because if I had stuck to traditional way of farming, I think by now I would have probably lost my way and lost my desire to keep going, because I just can't see any great future in that form of farming, because it's not really, in my opinion, very sustainable. Whereas, as I mentioned before, we're using these principles. I can see my property improving, as in nature improving, which is just as important as my profitability. So that gives me incentive to, and I do think I really enjoy what I do.
So making money is important financially, though also being happy in what you're doing is also important. So my point being, so it's a balance, I suppose. So this is a question. For you to make a decision, would it be 80% based on financial profitability and 20% based on what you personally believe, or what?
Right.
Could you break it down like that?
I don't think it'd be, sadly, if you speak to my wife, it's certainly not 80% financial, because I know I could do a lot of different things and probably make short-term gains financially. So it's probably more like a 50-50 at best.
Yeah, right.
I would think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you spend money today that will benefit you in 5 to 10 years' time, or you believe, from what your knowledge is, you believe will benefit you in 5 to 10 years' time.
Or even longer away.
Or even longer.
Yes, particularly planting lots of trees and things. I mean, we all know you won't see any great gain. I won't see it. I'll be gone.
Yes.
So that'll be for the next generation. But,
yes.
That's an expensive little, can be expensive to do.
Righto, 2 left field questions. Are you optimistic towards the future?
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
Is that a key thing in your characteristic, or what makes you optimistic?
Well, we're running a business that's totally sustainable and I'm excited because I'm in the position here where, for instance, we're sequestering carbon in amounts because we're doing a lot of soil testing on this place to see what's going on, and we're now in a situation where we're starting to sequester more carbon than what we're emitting. So we're on the right side of the ledger there, in my opinion, because these world issues aren't going to go away, and I feel comfortable knowing that I believe we're improving the environment and eventually the world.
Right. Another left field question: how important is it to you to help others and developing their unique gifts?
Right. Well, it's enjoyable when you pull it off because if you see someone improve in any fashion, it's always a satisfaction to see someone else. Doing what they love.
Yeah. It's a funny, I've asked a few people, this sort of question. It's a funny question because I think everyone would go, yes, it's important. But I suppose in your field, Tim, you're out here working the property. You don't. It's not 7 days a week. It'd only be 1 or 2 days that you would interact with other people, I suppose. Mind you, when your children were at primary school, were you involved with sports or coaching or?
Yes, a little bit.
Right.
Not a natural sportsman myself. So
no. But you're involved in the bushfire brigade?
Yes, look, all those community things, in the local, keeping the local door of the church open, the local hall.
Yeah.
It's a picnic race society. So it's just a community. You got to have some community.
Yes. Yeah. But my point, if you see someone that has a unique gift at, I don't know, would you promote? I suppose it's hard to promote that unique gift. If you see it, I suppose another way, from my understanding, is you are running a business and times are pretty tight at the moment, so you wouldn't have much time to go out and help someone, promote, help someone with their unique gift, I suppose.
Not really, because, this is a full-time job and
yes.
I'm basically running it on my own. But when you get employees coming in, and more contractors, I'm the first to, give them all the accolades under the sun when I think they're doing something. I encourage, if you see someone coming, they just have a unique ability, I'm the first to say, look into it.
And do you pass, when you're speaking to other people in the community, do you pass your thoughts on about that individual?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Always give someone a leg up, not a leg down.
Yes.
Definitely.
Righto, Tim. Well, thank you very much for your time. It stopped raining, so we better go outside and do some more work. And I'd like to thank you very much for doing the interview.
Thank you for putting up with me.
Thank you. Righto, thanks, Tim. That's part 3 of 3. Now we'll go to Ken, the second part of 4 parts about clothing.
Having no idea about what to reinvest in. in. This is how I would start a business with no money. I think that's an attractive prospect. What I would do is I would just build in public. I would take things that take no money whatsoever. I would film on my smartphone and I would project my ideas of clothing. Like, what about I make this? What about I make that? And you kind of experiment in the idea space and just see what gets traction that you are really into, that you're really passionate about, and there is a customer base that is really passionate about that too, right? And you can do that in social media. You can just take a look at view counts and engagement and figure out what the center of that Venn diagram is. And being completely transparent, going like, look, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I can offer this for really cheap price because this is my first release. And, you know, you're taking a risk on me, but I want to reward that by making no money on it, and we can get going. That's what I would have done had I started, and that's basically how I did start. Should you start with a collection? You should start with, I think, my personal opinion is that you start with one thing, just one thing to build your entire brand universe, mainly for two reasons. The first thing is that it's very hard to do anything like well, and if you concentrate your funds, your attention on one thing done well, that separates yourself from the pack, that is the most economical way to start. And I don't mean economical in terms of money, it's like in terms of your attention, in terms of your brain power. If you just do one thing well, that's a great start. I wouldn't start with 5, 10 different things because it is too expensive, too hard, and when you first start out, you don't know what you're doing. And then 10 things mean you're going in 10 different directions. Just keep it small. I think the economics dictate that e-commerce is the way to go now, without a doubt. You could have a store this afternoon, you know, with a domain, beautiful website, and you can take pre-orders today, now. Just imagine like it was in the 90s or the early 2000s. Like, to get to that point, you would need years of building a reputation, of saving enough money to get a lease, to sign a lease that's 3 to 5 years, you know, in a contract. Right now, the barrier to entry is like nothing. The first Shopify, like, monthly fees like $5 or something. It's crazy. But it just means that you've got a lot of competition as well. So you do invite other problems. But there's no doubt that e-commerce is the way to go. It doesn't guarantee quality though, that's for sure. At first it was like a lot of it was imitation. A lot of it was seeing what I liked out in the world and trying to do my own version of it, my own spin on it. And as the skill set has grown and as I've found, you know, people to help me, like pattern makers, you know, good factories, my confidence has grown so I can tackle more complex things. So nowadays, I don't design for, I need to make a workwear jacket. I kind of I'm more in the idea space. Like, I want to express some idea about work in 2024. I want to express some idea about being young in summer and take very abstract thoughts that don't really belong as objects and try and turn that into a jacket, try to turn that into a shirt. So it's way more fun now, but in the early stages, a lot of it was like, I see a jacket, how do I make it, how do I copy it, and then in copying it, figure out how things are made. Research and figuring out how things have, particularly in menswear, I'm not like inventing new shapes, I'm not inventing new fabrics. All of that is iterative. All your designs are kind of based on what came before. And the only way to find out what came before is to research and study and learn stuff. And that, right now is like the best moment for that. Everything's on the internet. Even if it's in a book, you can find the book. You can find an obscure Japanese, French, you know, Italian book on the internet. You know, I've got a library now full of stuff that I can't read because I don't know the language, but I'm able to find these books, find these pictures, find these archives because of the internet. It's amazing. Okay, so when you read books, for me, it comes under like 3 broad categories, right? The first category is like literally history of garment. So you look at, like, this is Avant. They do like these little book magazines. So he's based in France, and I got to know him a little bit online, and he does these amazing kind of articles about vintage workwear. So that's more like reference books, seeing what came before. I find that really interesting when it comes to like thinking or concepting ideas and designs. Then there's like pure history books, like purely about the history of, you know, certain fashion movements. Like this is Take Ivy, and this is kind of a very famous book in Japan. This is translated from the original Japanese. This is about prep and that prep movement that happened in the 1960s in Japan, where they sort of adopted a lot of prep fashion from America. And just as a history book, it's really interesting to see how different countries adopt different fashion movements. I didn't really take a lot in terms of fashion design, but the ideas behind it are pretty interesting. And then you have like technical knowledge, like technical manuals. So this was introduced by my friend Jeremy Smith online. This is the Entrepreneur's Guide to Sewn Product Manufacturing. And this is kind of a real technical manual about how garments are graded, how it goes into like more industrial product knowledge. It goes into sewing theory, it goes into how do you cost a product. It's kind of invaluable in terms of running a fashion business. It's not very inspiring, but it does help you get the job done. It helps businesses stay in business. So it's 2024 when this video is being made. It feels like a hostage video. It's 2024. You just got to get your hands dirty and plow through the internet, as much free content that's up on the internet. So that means like niche enthusiast forums on Reddit can be a very good resource, because those guys are like, they don't have lives. They are into it at a level that you and I could never be, and you need to like use their knowledge. YouTube is an incredible free resource. Like if you had no money, there's no better time in the world, history of the world, to learn stuff than right now. For me, a lot of it was talking to people who are left in our industry still, like our pattern makers, the people in our factory, and spending a lot of face-to-face time trying to learn about stuff. I've learned so much about garment dyeing because I spent a lot of time with one of the 2 garment dyers left in Victoria, in Melbourne, and they shut like 6 months later. I learned so much about garment dyeing. Like this right now is garment dyed.
Righto, thanks Ken, that's the second of 4 series. And remember, life's short, find your joy. And always remember it, say always enjoy.